In the latest episode of ST's investigative series, the team speaks to 3 Chinese Singaporeans who call themselves fans of China at a time of heightened tensions between the Asian superpower and the US. They have their own reasons, which we'll learn about in a bit, and while they acknowledge a delicate balance between identifying as Chinese and as Singaporean, they say the order is clear: Singaporean and Singapore's interests first.
I would say there's a spectrum, between the 100% pro-China to the 100% anti-China. I would say I'm probably somewhere at the 70, maybe even 80.
Towards China, obviously.
Towards China. But at the same time, I always say first thing, I'm Singaporean. Although I'm pro-China, I take it from the point of view of somebody who's looking from the outside. I'm always an outsider. The best they treat me is 远亲. A relative, but not a close relative.
Do you identify more as Chinese or as Singaporean?
I think it's always a very delicate balance, whether I position myself as a Singaporean or a Chinese, but I would always acknowledge myself as a Singaporean first.
Let's find out more about this group of Singaporeans from the reporters who helmed this project: political correspondent Justin Ong and senior producer Shawn Lee Miller. Justin, to you first, what are the common threads among the 3 profiles that contribute to their pro-China stance? Why are they pro-China essentially?
Right, so there are 3 factors at play mainly. So the first is the rise of China in terms of its economy, its technology, military, even culture. And the pride that the profiles feel in being Chinese and watching a Chinese country hold its own with the United States and the West, that's a big reason there. So for the younger ones especially, there's also a sense of opportunity being presented in business, in career, and the advantages they have in just by being proficient in the Chinese language. And the second factor, and the flip side to the earlier point I made really, is this sense of a growing disdain for the West, specifically again the United States, which they view as in decline. More so recently due to its failure to manage the pandemic and how its former president Donald Trump put the blame on China for most of the last 2 years. So they think that the US has unfairly demonized China in many ways. And they think that this is because the Americans are alarmed by the Chinese challenging a world order that the Americans have led for the past few decades. So, and one important part of this factor is media coverage, which they see as dominated by English language Western news outlets, which to them disproportionately presents a negative image of China. And the third element, or the third factor here, is something that's a bit more personal and has to do with a desire to connect with ancestry, finding a sense of belonging through their ethnic identity. To give you an example, one of the profiles, Rodney, the oldest one, he actually can't read or write Chinese. He says it's his biggest regret. It makes him feel inadequate. So what he's done to try and fill that void is to trace his heritage to his grandfather who came from China. So as you can tell, across all 3 factors, there's often a conflation of race and nationality. So meaning, are they pro-China or are they pro-Chinese? And for some of these individuals, it's become a difficult distinction for them to make. And as we point out in the video, it doesn't help that there's an entire backdrop of propaganda and influence campaigns being conducted, where the aim is not just to nurture a positive image of the country, but to get people to sympathize with their country's concerns. But that's a whole topic for another day.
Very interesting. Well, Shawn, why are the 3 gentlemen choosing to be so vocal about their pro-China views, and have they faced backlash online?
Well, all 3 men have different backgrounds, which decides how vocal they are. For Michael himself, he prides himself as a teacher who focuses on critical thinking. And because of that, he's very active on Quora, and through his Quora posts and the different posts that he sees on Quora, he feels the need to come out to China's defense based on what he sees as like a lot of pro-US, anti-China threats on the platform. For Rodney, he used to be pro-US, but as Justin said, that's what he saw over the years through different social media outlets, through different news outlets, through going to China and the US as a tourist himself. He saw what he would classify as the downfall of the US and the rise of China. And being quite active on different social media platforms, he feels the need to come to China's defense, so to speak, whenever he reads or hears people expressing very pro-US views. For Ming Hui, he is the youngest of the lot, and he's been immersed in the China culture from a young age, and even to this day, he's married to a woman from China, and they do watch a lot of Chinese entertainment. So for him, he's not as vocal as the other two, but he was forthcoming in the video and also to show the different side and the younger side of how they are viewing the different technology and the different platforms coming out from China in a positive way. The backlash that they face is quite expected, and perhaps many of us in our social circles would have experienced that as well, through friends who express certain pro-China views or pro-US views, and that debate and the banter as a result from that. But not so much from the video that we produced. In fact, that they did feel that they got a lot of positive feedback from the video itself. So the backlash is typically on the different platforms where people tend to be a bit more vocal, such as Quora and Facebook. And amongst their own social circle of friends, once in a while they would get into heated debates, but they try to avoid too many arguments as much as possible.
Well, thank you to both Shawn and Justin for sharing more on this project. My colleagues, political correspondent Justin Ong and senior producer Shawn Lee Miller. You can watch the full Close-Up episode on our YouTube channel.